Face the event. From brand ambassadors and event staffers to magicians and presenters, it's the one and only podcast to introduce the faces in and around the trade show and events industry. And here's our host, Scott Tokar.
Well, hello and welcome to episode number 7 of Face the Event. My name is Scott Tokar. I am your magical host. I am here to help you understand the world of brand ambassadors, trade show staffers, the folks that you find out on an event. We are the faces that make the brands so special out there on actual activations. Today's episode is a really great episode, and I'm glad you're listening, because if you want to make brand ambassadors or event staffing your career, this is where you're going to find the money, because we're going to talk with an agent who's going to give us the secrets of not only how to get booked, how much money you can make, and how to be at the top of their list to be booked more frequently. This is an incredible episode. And as always, we like to start out our podcast with just a simple subject to find out what everyone is sort of thinking. And today's subject is one that I have no idea about. How much makeup should you wear on an activation? Does it depend on the activation? And what exactly is makeup? I have no idea. So let's ask our professionals.
Makeup, clean, fresh, and natural.
Makeup. Oy. Don't overdo it.
Either make your eyes real nice and bright with the false eyelashes or big red lips. Never both.
Subtle is best.
I personally do the same thing every day. I don't change my makeup much at all.
Natural looking.
You want to look natural, but you don't want to look like you're hitting the club.
But then mascara, blush, I look better with lipstick on. I've actually had people say, "Are you feeling okay? You look tired," if I don't have lipstick on. Because
fresh looking, don't go big hair.
I would have to say with makeup, you always want to have an extra set of everything.
And I am blonde and I have very fair features. So I think I look better with just a little bit more makeup than someone who's brunette would be able to pull off.
I had a lady one time tell me that I needed to go back and put more blush and a dark lipstick because I looked invisible on the stage. Good thing I had it.
Try to look at what the industry is calling for.
And I think it's very important to put your best face forward when you're at these shows and always look well and presented and well put together.
When I came up with the idea of putting together a podcast about brand ambassadors, trade show staffers, event staffers, I made a list of the people that I thought would be not only interesting to listen to, but the ones that would give me information that would make my career more profitable and get me more work. And the very first person I thought of is today's guest. In fact, I interviewed this person before I interviewed anybody else on the podcast. Unfortunately, being my first interview, I had tons of technical difficulties. My microphone and the levels that we had set were totally out of whack, and it really was unusable. So I had to wait until I could interview this person a second time, and I am so happy to bring this interview to you today. This is the podcast. Out of all the previous 6 podcasts that we've done, the 7th podcast is the lucky one. This is the one where you're going to learn how to make more money and get booked more frequently in higher paying jobs, because this person is an agent. And she started her career not as an agent, but as a trade show event staff person. So she understands exactly where you are right now and where you're headed. So what we are going to discuss in the next few minutes is what are agents really looking for? What are the photographs and what makes a great photograph that you should send with your resume? Here's a hint. You want to watch out for the NSFWs, the not safe for work photos. They can really be trouble because, she'll explain that in just a moment. The number one quality that agents are looking for. And what about ethnic diversity? It's actually more marketable today than it ever has been. Why the real you is more marketable than the person you think that the agents are looking for. The difference between a bar activation and a trade show staff position. How to get booked, how much you can make, how to climb the ladder, and why your personal integrity is like a credit score, and you're always trying to get more. And my favorite thing is the very last thing is how to make money while you're not working by being a backup reserve event staffer. We'll find out all of that. I will, without any further ado, let me introduce to you a great interview with CE Talent's Becky Jo Schwarz. All right, we are with Becky Jo Schwarz. How are you, Becky?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure. And as I mentioned in the intro, you were my very first interview. It's just that the microphone on my side was not working in my first interview, so we had to scrap that. And thank you for coming back and doing this again for us.
Absolutely. Since then, I got a nicer microphone as well, just to be safe.
There you go. So, Becky, tell me a little bit about yourself. What is your company and what is it that you do?
So the company is CE Talent, and we do professional trade show staffing. We dabble a little bit in some other areas, but it's mainly trade shows, conferences, things like that, with a specialization in high tech. Though again, we do a little pharmaceutical, a little oil, little of this and that. But companies that are looking for a higher end caliber of talent will come to us. Our folks are educated, engaging people who know how to attract the proper kind of attention to your booth, your product, or whatever it is that we are generating leads for you.
So I'm assuming that there's a couple of advantages. Someone that's experienced obviously has done this. Is there a number of trade shows you're looking for them, or brand activations that you're looking for them to have done to be considered experienced? How do you decide that they're experienced?
Honestly, there's not a specific number because someone may not have any experience in the trade show realm, but have a ton of experience in a like field or whatnot, and they'll be exponentially better than somebody who's been in the industry for over 10 years. So experienced is more to do with part life experience, part personality even, the experience they have in engaging with people. Because I can train them the tricks and the things they need to know about trade shows. So we are willing to accept people that don't have a single ounce of trade show experience if they have the proper attitude, other experience and whatnot. Now, of course, they're not going to be in a lead on a show floor, and they're probably not ever going to be sent to a single booking by themselves because they have to work under our leads so they can learn the ropes how we do it, because every agency does things a little differently. So
describe to me, if you're looking at someone's resume or looking at someone's picture, describe to me, who are you looking for? Who is that person?
So one, definitely looking for people who read the instructions. One of the things that is very clear when we're looking for talent is we ask that their bio is in third person, and then we even explain what that is, just in case they don't know what the person means. And yet we still regularly will get people that, and I like this, and I have done this, and I that. And it's like, okay, so clearly you didn't read the instruction right there that says the bio should be in third person. But basically that's a huge one. Can you follow instructions? Because if you can't do it when you're applying, we're going to struggle to see that your ability to do it on the show floor. Now, that said, not everyone's strength is in reading details. So even if they have missed that thing, the next thing we're looking for is people who can articulate their experience through their bio, people who have put photos up that are professional, and not to say that they have to be professional photos. They just have to be photos that are professional. I don't want to see you in that shot you did for your boyfriend in your bikini, where you're trying to look all sexy. That's not what I'm interested in, and it's certainly not what my clients are interested in.
This is we've talked many times about this very subject, and you're getting ahead of me because this is exactly where I was going to guide you into this, but you're doing it by yourself.
Sorry.
No, that's totally okay because you and I are passionate about this very thing.
Yes.
And here's the thing. NSF means not safe for work. Okay.
Oh, yes.
NSFW, not safe for work. Okay.
For work, yes.
So the thing is that you have to realize that if you're putting a photograph out to an agency or to a potential booker that's gonna do something like this, you cannot have a bikini picture or a sexy picture pop up on their screen because that violates their own internal HR regulations.
Exactly.
And you're not being corporate sensitive. Now, if you're not being corporate sensitive at the level of, at the moment you want to be hired, chances are you're not going to be corporate sensitive when I put you on an activation. So
Exactly.
Don't shoot yourself in the head. I know for some modeling jobs, that's what they're looking for. But when it comes to this corporate thing, please, no bikini or half-dressed shots.
Exactly. I loved finding out that a talent that I'd been working with for years that has great profile, great bio, clients love her. And years later, I found out that she's a showgirl. And I was like, oh, I had no idea, you have any pictures, nothing? And she's like, well, I know that wouldn't be appropriate for this. And I was like, thank you.
So do you mean like a Las Vegas showgirl headdress kind of showgirl, or like a showgirl that you'd find in a roadside establishment?
Yeah, no, the full headdress, Las Vegas.
My current favorite assistant for doing magic with me is in fact a showgirl, and she has the poise, the approachability, the all of that makes a perfect presenter. But again, it's not about that headshot. It's really about the professionalism, the approachability, and that kind of thing. Taking this seriously. So let me ask you, what if I'm not supposed to put out a bikini shot? Well, you don't want to see me in a bikini for sure.
You don't want to see me either, trust me.
Okay, well, done. So what describes me, what is an ideal photo to use in something like this?
So I would say it's an ideal few photos, actually. You need a headshot. That's vital to have a headshot so that people can see this is what I can expect you to look like. And though it's okay to have your makeup professionally done, it needs to be done in such a manner that is how you could show up on the show floor. It's important that your photo represents you, because we're not a modeling agency. I don't want to see a picture of what you could look like. I want to see a photo of what you will look like, and so do the clients. I also don't want to show a professional shot from you from 20 years ago. It needs to be
super important. It's got to be current, because if you're sending someone out on an activation that looks this way, and now they're facially tattooed and pierced and it's like, that's not the same person. That makes you as the agency look bad, and you could potentially lose business as the agency. And as someone that's hiring the people to represent your agency, you simply don't want to hire that person.
Exactly. And it's important to understand that we accept people of all different kinds of looks. Some of our clients actually do want a little bit more of an edgy look. So you might be a perfect fit if you have an edgy look for a client of ours. The whole thing is it's transparency. We had a situation one time where, a girl showed up and she had dyed half of her hair pink. And Unfortunately, the client didn't love that. One client might, this client did not. And all that, if they would have just let us know, then we can let the client know. Sometimes they're not going to care. But again, it's just, we want to make sure that we do everything in our power to set the talent up to be successful. And part of that is your appearance. It's not that we're looking, are you pretty enough? That's not it. It's do you fit the corporate image that this client is looking for?
Now, let's chat really quickly about corporate image, because I think corporate image has changed a little bit over the years. I mean, in the sense that corporate image, when I first got started in trade shows, was the IBM blue suit and tie look. And it's not necessarily that way. And in fact, back then, sad to say, it was all Anglo white males, and Anglo white females. And now diversity is a huge, that's a bonus. I'm looking for people with diversity.
Yes.
Because and so talk to me about how the look has changed and what you're looking for today versus in the past.
So you are absolutely right. Diversity is key. If I'm staffing a booth with a number of people, if I have, say it's 8 people that we're looking for, I might have 4 blonde hair, blue-eyed people that are amazing. But chances are I'm not going to want to book 4 blonde hair, blue-eyed people. I'm going to want to try to keep it more diverse, ethnically, even personality-wise, even though people in this industry do tend to be a little more type A, a little more, outgoing, of course. Even in that, there are spectrums of personalities. So, which is also why it's excellent to know your bios. The more that you can put about your personality, the better. Let your personality show. Because if I can see that you've got all these different nuances to your personality, it's going to open up the market to more. Also, it could even be I think there's a gal who is a helicopter pilot. So if I know that my client flies a helicopter, I'm going to put this person with them. So it's just, it's a matching. So the more information that a talent can give us, that is done in a professional, personable way, the more likely I am to be able to pair them with clients.
Let's backpedal.
But it's important to show your diversity.
Let's backpedal just a little bit. Let's talk about that photograph here, the stuff that I need to send. Now, I if I were to give my laundry list of what I'm looking for, because I book people all the time, is I would like a professional, like you said, headshot. So a headshot is kind of like, if you're watching on YouTube right now, you can see that we're both kind of in headshot form right now, side by side. This is a headshot. This gives me a close-up view of your face, so I can kind of look into your eyes and kind of feel your soul through that photo. That's really what it's about. Then I also like a professional photo that shows me who you are, or who you perceive yourself to be, because that's really what those are about. And often that's going to be like an on location kind of thing, like maybe the rustic door behind you kind of thing. That's fine. Those you need to hire or get someone that's at a professional level that understands lighting and understands how to make you look good. After that, I want action shots. And what I mean by action shots is not that you're on a surfboard. I want you in the environment that you're going to be working for me in. So if it's at a trade show, a bar, an activation at a supermarket, I want to see a picture like that, because that's really who I'm hiring, right?
Absolutely.
So and what am I missing? What else would you like to see? Well,
and you didn't mention in there, but it is good to, somewhere in between the action shots and the shots, that kind of show who you are. It's good if at least one of those is at least a 3/4 shot, because it is good to know, what is your body style. And again, we're not a modeling agency, so it's not, are you thin enough? For some of our clients, they specifically want your typical average person. They prefer them over 40. They prefer them at least in a double-digit size.
That's interesting because I have one friend who does all the time. You know what they have to do? They have to sleep on the trade show floor.
Oh, yes. I've seen those. Yes.
Yeah. So what happens is, like, in some of these medical conferences, what they need is they need to monitor someone that's sleeping. So they pay them for a full day before the show to not go to sleep, to stay totally awake. And then they go to the trade show floor in sweats and they sleep on the trade show floor. Listen, your body type really isn't what people are looking at here.
Right.
And in fact, it's not your outgoing personality either. It's your willingness to work, your willingness to be, connecting with the client when you first arrive, and willingness to do what they're asking. So there's all types here that are needed, aren't there? Yes,
exactly. And that's the key is let the real you show when it comes to, this kind of industry. You can put your best foot forward, but your best foot forward needs to be an accurate depiction of you, but just keep in mind that if you're trying to portray yourself as something that you're really not, you are probably missing out on some jobs that the real you could have gotten.
And potentially making the agency not happy and potentially losing the real jobs that you could have had.
Absolutely.
So the trade show jobs, that's where both of us kind of reside, is in the trade show world. Right. They are a better moneymaker than doing like a bar activation, aren't they?
Absolutely.
How do they differ from being a brand ambassador that's pouring, a spirit at a local bar and going, bar to bar, to doing a trade show? What's the difference between those kind of things?
So there are a number of people who can do both, but the biggest difference is definitely a level of professionalism. And not to say that you shouldn't be professional in the bar activation, because you absolutely should, obviously. But in a bar activation, flirting, let's say, would absolutely be, that's usually kind of part of it. There's a level of, oh, come on over, whereas in the trade show realm, that is a little more frowned upon and can upset the clients if they see it. There's also just... And I don't like to use the word professional because, again, both of them are professional. But there's a certain corporate jargon that you should be using, and just certain lines that boundaries that need to be understood. Generally, at a bar activation, you could potentially drink. You're a lot more lax in what can be done. You can't bring that lax attitude onto the trade show floor because it's corporate. So there's a lot more red tape and rules and codes of conduct and
HR regulations, just like we said about the photos.
Exactly. So
when you're sending the photo, remember that not only are some photos like the bikini photos not appropriate, but you want to visualize what you're looking to hire for. So if you have been, dressed in rap, street kind of clothing, or like for a concert kind of thing, that may not be the right thing for IBM. So don't send that photo to IBM. Send the one, that's fine with the barn door behind you. That's a modeling picture, but I would much rather see that photo of you in a trade show. Give me the full, I'm not looking at you, I'm looking at your environment and how you're sitting in that environment in that sense.
Exactly.
So, if I was a beginning brand ambassador and I've done some of these bar activations or golf outings and things like this, how do I work for you? What's the best way to step up my game, make a little bit more money, and do the corporate stuff? What's the path?
One, obviously going to our website and applying, though a number of people would tell you that, they applied for years before they were able to get a job. So the next thing that I would say is ask us. Actually, whether you email, whether you call, ask us just to, what can I do to be more marketable for you? Just the simple fact that you are asking us shows us a lot.
Yes.
But then if you are willing to take the suggestions that we make, one with grace and appreciation, and not like, well, my bio is just fine the way it is. I did everything that you asked for. Okay, if you're giving me attitude now, so it's definitely, ask us what you can do, because that alone is going to make me go, I want to get this person on a job. Let me find a time that I can use this person.
Yeah. Also, if you end up on an activation, if you're lucky enough to get your first one, and you happen to see other talent out there, and you can kind of tell who's talent, you can ask, are you hired? What's the right way for me to add? That's a good question. If I see someone I think maybe they might be just like me working on one of these, is there a good way for me to say, hey, are you like me? Are you a brand ambassador or a hired staff? What would you say to? Is there like a secret handshake we could do? What is that?
I would say if we're talking about on the trade show floor, then I would say definitely, are you an employee of the company, or are you professional staff like I am? Good. Because there's lots of terminology I would avoid.
Right.
Booth babe?
Yeah, well, we don't use the word booth babe anymore. That's gone. That was back at the beginning of my career.
You'd be surprised how much it still comes out, though.
Yes, I would agree. There's a lot. In this world today, there are so many things we're trying to correct, and that is one that, thankfully, I think that one's kind of going to the wayside.
Yes, it is.
So my thing is, by asking that, is if I go up to that person and say, hi, what agency are you working for, and that kind of thing, you can kind of get to know the people that are in the business and kind of get some tips and kind of watch them a little bit.
Absolutely. And that's like you said, getting those tips is key, because any agency is only, they're not going to spend 4 hours on a conversation with everything that you need to know. And some things you have to see in action, and asking is a great idea. But I will say, be very careful about what it is that you're asking them. Because on the show floor, you can get into, well, I'm working for this agency and I'm making this much money. How much do you make for that agency? That's where you can get into some sticky things that can make agents uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, okay. So you're an agent and not looking to make you uncomfortable.
No, but
So let me not get specific to you. Let me get general of the industry here. On a brand activation that I'm doing in a bar or something, I might only make $15 an hour, $20 an hour.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's the pay range for trade shows for these more corporate things?
Yep. So if you're talking about like lead generators or crowd gatherers, I don't want to say they're the entry level. They're the main level of things that we do. There's a difference, though, between your general crowd gatherer and your person who's a crowd gatherer / little bit of a product specialist as well. So that's a higher rate. But if we're talking about like straight lead generation, if you have no experience whatsoever, and you're going to need to be trained on the show floor, that could start as low as 200.
200 a day.
A day,
yeah.
For up to 8 hours. Then there's overtime after that. Plus, then if there's parking expenses, generally expenses are then also paid. but then if you're an experienced person, and especially if you've worked with clients for a while longer, that can go up to 350. I've heard of people making 500 a day for it. I think that's usually more direct.
Well, here's the thing, though. If you, a lot of times, because we've worked for some of the same clients, and together we have really built a relationship with that client, and often they'll find a crowd gatherer, a lead generator that they really like, and they will start asking for them by name.
Absolutely.
And when they start doing that, we can make a little bit more money because now they're in demand. And so that's kind of how you climb the ladder a little bit here, is to be the one that they're asking for, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, and something that our agency does, I can't speak for other agencies, what they do, but I could be charging the same exact amount to a client, but I'm going to pay this person significantly more than I'm paying the person they're working with, even though the client is paying the same amount for them, because I know this person. I want this person on the show floor because I know they're going to make me look good.
Yeah, well, absolutely. If you got an A stringer that you know is going to make that client happy, you're more likely to put them in because that means that you're going to get hired by that company again. Remember, you do a good job for me, I do a good job for my client, we all get more work. That's how this thing works.
Exactly.
And at the same time, if I am going to take a risk by putting a newer talent in, I as the agent, I as the booking person should make a little bit more money because I'm putting my entire company on the line for you as a starting crowd gatherer. So I should make a little bit more, right?
And I'm also going to be putting you through some trainings to make sure that you're prepared. That's going to cost me money to facilitate those trainings and those additional steps. And chances are I'm also going to pay the person you're working with a little bit more to also do the same thing, to continue your training. So absolutely. And that's why it's not a good idea to talk about money on the show floor, because you're not thinking like an agent, you're thinking like a talent. And there could be hurt feelings because it's like, well, so I'm not as valuable as you are. And it's not a matter of value. It's a matter of a situation right now. You never know why someone's making what they're making. There have been times that we have paid someone on the show floor more than we have made.
True. I've done the same thing. I have people all the time, especially magicians, because they know Corporate Effects is one of the leading trade show magic groups out there.
Absolutely.
Maybe we're only one of two trade show magic groups out there, but in that market, people know us, and people always ask me, "How can I work for you?" And my real answer to them, I can give all these things that you've given. You need to earn my trust.
Absolutely.
The more I trust you, the more likely I am to book you. So how do I earn your trust?
Well, at CE Talent, we have a great reserve program. That is a great way to get your foot in the door, and how people have. Anytime we have any crowd gatherer or receptionist event, lead generator, anything like that on the trade show floor, we also book a reserve. They are paid to hold that time open. And basically, you'd have to be able to get to the trade show within about an hour. If you do so, if you have been a great reserve for us and we have not called you in, say 3, even 4 times, we are going to work hard to make sure that you get a booking with us.
Well, you kind of feel like you're indebted to them for doing you that. And,
exactly.
And so if I'm making on my first one $200. How much can you say how much I'd get if I was on reserve?
Generally, if you're on reserve, you will actually make a little bit more money. So if you're just holding the dates and you're not working, then you just make it's a little $25 just to kind of hold the time.
Right.
And now if you're called in, we would generally pay $250.
Oh, okay, great. Right, that's great. That's a great way to get your foot in the door, and like I say, you feel like you owe them something because they've done this for you. So
Absolutely.
That's probably the golden ticket answer for me, of how to get into this thing. Do all the agencies do that, or is it something specifically from CE Talent?
You know what? I don't know if others do it. I know I worked with an agency before that had a similar program, but it wasn't paid. It was just a kind of first call list. But yeah, I don't know. I will say though, just like you, we're indebted to you if you've been a great reserve for us. If you accept a reserve position, and then we offer you the booking, and we either one, cannot get a hold of you, or two, you decline it. It's going to have to take a large thing to happen before we'll use you.
Early in my career, I attempted, because I'm near Los Angeles, I attempted to do some commercials and things like that. And I had a commercial agent. And the commercial agent would spend her time back then. I'm an old guy. So this back then is before the internet. They'd actually physically send, your photos and your resume to the casting director. And the casting director would set out a pile and say, call them and have them come in tomorrow. So then my agent would call me that afternoon and say, we need you in Hollywood tomorrow at 10 a.m. And I'd have to tell him, I'm sorry, I'm in Chicago working a trade show. You do that twice to an agent, you're not with the agent anymore.
You're not. Yep.
So this is why in Hollywood you find so many bartender, waiter people that are doing acting, because during the day they can always be available. And frankly, if you're going to be on this reserve, you kind of have to be the same thing. You have to always be available when you said you were.
Exactly. Yep. And it's. I've always said your personal integrity is kind of like your credit score. You can spend years building up a great credit score, and you do one mistake and you've jacked it. It can be the same with your personal integrity in this industry. You can spend years, being a great rep, but your integrity is everything. Like you said, trust is key. You one client where you're like, oh, by the way, I guess I could work direct with you, for this next one. That's like the black rule.
Right.
That's the one thing you cannot do.
Right.
But regardless of what it is, your integrity is everything, and your word needs to be your word, period. And that's not more than just this industry. That's a life lesson that everybody should. Your word needs to mean something.
So if I'm going to go over some of the things that are very important to me, that is, early is on time.
Absolutely.
So in other words, when the show floor, especially on the first day, the very first day of a show floor, you have to go get your badge somewhere. You got to be there early enough to pick up your badge, and early enough to check in at the booth before the show floor opens. That's, and that's not necessarily paid. That's, your time may start.
Right.
Well, I guess for you, do you pay by the hour or by the day?
We pay by the day. We do also pay for an hour before the trade show starts, because that's when we expect them to be at the booth. Now, we do ask them to meet at exhibitor registration 30 minutes before then.
Right.
That way, that does give them, if they're running a little bit late for that, we'll still all be on time for what the client is paying for.
Right. And if you've been listening to our podcast, we've given you tips and tricks on parking, on where to get your badge. Mm-hmm. Go back and listen to some of the older episodes.
Yes.
To hear some of those tips and tricks, because although that's a short period of our podcast, I'm trying to pick things that will really help you in your career. So let's get to this. What would you like to do? How can I work for you? Is there social media I should follow? Is there someplace I should connect with you at CE Talent, and do a little plug for your own agency here?
Absolutely. So yes, you're absolutely welcome to follow us on Instagram or on Facebook, Twitter and it's at CE Talent. The everything we do, though, goes through our website. We have a very robust website that allows you, where you put not only your bio, your photos, but what cities that you want to work in, even if travel is not paid, different skills that you have, different experience that you have that has to do with the trade show floor, and then just basically the opportunity to let us know about you. And then we also, the moment that we want to submit you for a job, we also send you a quiz about our agency. We give you materials to know about our agency. So basically, take the time to dot your I's and cross your T's. Look at all that information, because the bottom line is we want you to be successful. And like I have always said, I don't just want you to be successful for me. I want you to be successful. And if I can be some small part in your journey to whatever you want to grow up to be, I would love to know that you were better off because you came into CE Talent. So you must be willing to learn. You must be willing to be critiqued, because basically we are going to critique anybody we deem worthy to be critiqued. So if be approachable, be coachable, and yeah. Please,
So your website is cetalent.com, is that right?
Yep.
Okay. So
CE Charlie Echo.
Yes, there you go. Some military stuff there for you. So I'm going to give you my own pat on the back here, and that is that out on the trade show floor, out in the real world, we all kind of talk amongst ourselves, and we know which agencies are not the ones you want to work for. And I have always heard upstanding great things about CE Talent. And when we're working on the same job together, I am always happy to have you and your folks in the booth with me.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot, because you too. I mean,
this is a career. This is a career. If you choose that you want to do this as a career, you're going to find that you could do this for a very long time. And we all know each other. And it's not an old boys network. It's a camaraderie. We're kind of in the trenches together thing. So I appreciate you being out there.
Absolutely.
Well,
yes, and I appreciate you doing this.
Oh, no problem. I like you want the brand ambassadors, the talent, the event staff, the badge scanners. I want them to be excellent, and I want them to see that this really is something great that we've got going on here.
Absolutely.
And it's not like it's secret. We're always looking for the right new people to be out there. Absolutely.
Something else that we do that I think would be important for talent to know is we offer leadership trainings. And yes, part of what we talk about is what we expect, excuse me, from our leads. But I would say that's only about a quarter of the training. The rest of it is all just leadership training that is good to know. Because again, even though this is, people that have taken this course have said, I have taken similar courses that's cost $1,000 for some of this similar material, and it's free, for us. But one, it shows us what people want to better themselves, and two, the talent get to learn skills that are going to be great in their lives. Yes, on the show floor, but yes, outside of it as well.
Well, I want to thank you so much for sharing this. It's from the gut, honest stuff, and I think it's super valuable. And I'm so happy that you came back a second time to redo this because it was my very first interview and my favorite one so far. And I hope you'll come back again because there's so much we can learn from each other.
Yes, and thank you for doing this because it's great for talent, but as an agent, it's also great to see what are other people looking for? Because like you said, someone may technically be competition. Katie Vance, we started out working for the same agencies. We ended up, doing our own agencies. And though technically she's a competitor, she's also a friend, and we absolutely like to help each other. And this has been a great platform to be able to do that, help talent, help agents, which then helps clients and just elevates everything.
Well, thank you again. Becky Jo Schwarz, CE Talent. Can't wait to have you back again. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Well, I want to thank Becky Jo Schwarz of CE Talent for spending some time with us today. That is probably the most valuable information we've ever passed along here on Face the Event. So how are we going to top it? We'll figure that out next week. But before we go, here is the face palm. A face palm is our ending spot of every Face the Event podcast. This is the moment where you place your palm on your face in disbelief. We had a guest a couple weeks ago, Larry Wyatt, who does a lot of speaking events. And his very first speaking event is sort of a Victor-Victoria half and half act. This is the most preposterous thing you can ever imagine on a trade show floor. And I have a feeling it didn't go so well. Let's find out about our facepalm, Victor-Victoria, with Larry Wyatt.
Like the craziest performance I ever had to give was, and again, this was years ago when we did some of these crazy character sort of driven things. They decided it would be a really fun idea. This was for a company that made some sort of cleaning, industrial cleaning supplies, like for restaurants, things like that, right? So they were going to tell their story through a two-person role play kind of thing, where one person is the restaurant manager and then another person is like the dishwasher back in the kitchen, right, who needs to be properly using these various cleaning supplies, right? But instead of, let's don't hire two actors to do this, let's hire Larry and have him play both characters. Now, it would have been bad enough to have to, well, I'm the boss. How's it coming with the cleaning? Well, boss, I'm trying to I mean, that would have been bad enough, right? Just to sort of play. But no. Let's take it further. They had a costumer create a costume for me. Was sewn together. Half of it was a business suit. Half of it was the dishwasher, apron and all that stuff. And I had half a mustache. So one guy had a mustache, the other guy was clean shaven. I had a wig that half of it was black, half it was blonde.
Reminds me of Victor-Victoria a little bit there.
Exactly. Oh my God. It was just the most horrific thing you ever saw. The audience looked stunned every time I had to get up there and do it. Furthermore, now you'll find this interesting. Furthermore, this was in the days when I first started with doing trade shows. The ear prompter was a fairly new technology. Not that many people used it. Yeah. And initially, I resisted using it because I came from the theater world, and my pride was, please, you can hand me a 30-minute script, give me an hour, I'll come back and I'll have it memorized for you. I mean, I was memorizing lines all the time. That's my job. I'm a theater actor, right? So I was memorized for this thing. And whatever this product line was of these cleaners, they had these crazy names, the XR2200ZF2 line of dishwashing fluid and the XRZ28 blah, blah, blah of this. And so I memorized, and I had these down. So it's right before the show, we do our preview for the muckety mucks from the company, the big bosses, right? Now, this script has gone through approval process. It's been stamped, approved, given to me a week ahead. I've memorized it. We're ready to go. I mean, it's boom. But we're going to do a preview an hour before the show hall opens for the, VP of sales or whatever is there. So we do the show for him. I do the thing. I do my, well, what do you think? Well, I think it's right. The whole deal. He comes up to me afterwards. He said, man, Larry, that was really good. But it's amazing how you play those two characters and how do you keep them straight? No, that's great. I said, oh, yeah. By the way, Larry, that's really not the name of the product anymore. We've changed it to the ZM, blah, 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 not the XR, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I say it 47 times in this script. And I'm like, Okay, I'll change it.
Larry, as magicians, we're totally familiar with this. It's Leviosa, not Leviosa. Well, that wraps up another episode of Face the Event. Are you having fun every week with us? If you are, make sure you subscribe to this podcast. We are on Stitcher. We are on Apple Podcasts. We are on iHeartRadio. Every platform you can possibly imagine, you can find Face the Event. But remember, whatever platform you use, you need to subscribe, and you can really help us out by giving an honest review. Please review our podcast. The more reviews we get, the more listeners we get, the more motivation we have to keep going with this kind of information. So please make sure you subscribe and review. By the way, we are also doing a live video feed of every one of our podcasts on YouTube. So make sure you go check out our YouTube videos. Just type in Face the Event, Scott Tokar. That'll at least get you to the right place. Well, until next week, I hope that it's profitable for you. I hope that you find a great career in trade show staffing, event staffing, and brand ambassadors. Have a great week.